Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Politics here at The Hindu with me, Nistula Hebbar, where we unpack the news making the headlines in domestic politics. This week, like last week, we look at the events that happened in Lakhimpur Kheri in Uttar Pradesh that left 8 people dead, including 4 farmers and 4 others who were killed in the aftermath of those deaths. We talk about how the series of events in Lakhimpur Kheri and the way that they have played out have become a kind of heuristic device to look at the state of play of politics and statecraft in the country at this point of time. In the last episode of Talking Politics, which again dealt with the Lakhimpur Kheri incident, I had said that the Yogi Adityanath government was possibly facing a huge, one of its biggest challenges to its claim that it was strong on law and order, that the government provided by the BJP in the state. If there was one achievement that they could boast of going into the elections of 2022 was the strong law and order plank. As I said, opinions were divided on the kind of law and order that had been established there, but this was a claim that the government has been routinely making, the BJP has been routinely making, and the death of 8 people, 4 farmers among them and 4 others following that incident, was a serious challenge to that image. In fact, the Supreme Court stepped in at the beginning of the week and asked the UP police to submit a report on what it had done to deal with the issue within 24 hours. The UP police had to face further embarrassment when, despite its asking Minister of State for Home, Ajay Mishra's son Ashish, to cooperate with the investigation because he had been named in a couple of FIRs, he refused to do so and only turned up after 24 to 36 hours of when he was supposed to turn up. And finally, on Saturday evening, he was arrested. But this was a long drawn-out process and, of course, has laid out serious challenges on the image of the UP government and the UP police in particular. On the political front too, especially in the space of oppositional politics, the events of Lakhimpur Kheri have been instructive to say the least. The Congress, which rushed its senior leaders like Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and Dipinder Hooda, as well as its chief ministers who tried to enter Lakhimpur Kheri but were prevented by the administration, had a first mover's advantage when it came to providing solidarity to farmers' groups. In fact, Punjab Pradesh Congress Committee President Navjot Singh Sidhu fasted at the homes of the family of one of the victims in order to put pressure on the government to make the arrest of Ashish Kumar Mishra, son of Minister of State for Home Ajay Kumar Mishra. The TMC on its part, which has recently become extremely aggressive in its expansion plans and also taking in people from the Congress who were disenchanted with the Congress, did the other bit, which was that it sneaked in a few of its leaders, Rajya Sabha MPs, to meet with families of the victims. They did not go in some sort of cavalcade or anything. It was more of a guerrilla tactic. They entered the district as tourists and made their way to the homes of the families of the victims and provided succor and solidarity to them. This led to a bit of an exchange, a sharp exchange, in fact, between Prashant Kishore, who had been advising the Trinamool Congress during the last assembly elections, and the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Bhupesh Baghel. As Prashant Kishore wrote on his Twitter account, people looking for a quick, spontaneous revival of GOP, the Grand Old Party-led opposition, based on Lakhimpur Kheri incident, are setting themselves up for a big disappointment. Unfortunately, there are no quick fix solutions to the deep-rooted problems and structural weakness of GOP. This is what he has to say. He's basically saying that the Congress, those looking at the leadership of the Congress of a consolidated opposition ranks, need not look there since the Congress suffers from some deep-rooted organizational issues which need to be addressed before any kind of leadership position to take on the BJP can be accorded to that party. Mr. Bhupesh Baghel, Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, always very aggressive in his politics, was not about to take that lying down. And he responded around people looking for a national, and the word national is in inverted commas, national alternative based on poaching INC functionaries who can't win even in their own seats is in for a big disappointment. Unfortunately, to become a national alternative, deep rooted and concerted efforts are needed, and there are no quick fix solutions. This is a reference to the TMC's big move to kind of try and occupy spaces in several states where they feel the Congress has been fading, and recruiting very aggressively Congress leaders like Sushmita Dev and Luisino Falero of Goa to swell their ranks in these state units, and also the attempt by the Trinamool through these moves to be seen as the main alternative to the BJP in terms of oppositional politics. Be that as it may, for me, the biggest takeaway from the tragic events of Lakhimpur Kheri and the tragic deaths that happened there is the fact that we are nearly at 1 year of this standoff between farmers groups and the government of India on the three contentious farm laws. This procrastination over trying to find a solution for this issue, very aggressive protests that refuse to fade away, and the mixing up of electoral politics in terms of the upcoming assembly elections in 2022 is a dangerous cocktail for law and order and peace and harmony in the country. The incident of Lakhimpur Kheri basically was like a powder keg waiting to be lit. And the lasting solution to this particular kind of confrontation is only going to be from sitting across the table and negotiating a settlement that is acceptable to all. And therefore, this procrastination has to end. This has been a slightly longer, long-winded sort of episode of Talking Politics. Thank you for your patience, and I'll be back next week.